Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, the only daily football programme on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. The main talking points tonight: Celtic will face Malmo, Manchester United will take on Bruges in the Champions League playoff draw. Aberdeen are sadly out of Europe for yet another season, and tonight it's Rangers kicking off the Championship with a game at home against St Mirren. Well, Alan Rough is alongside me, and I'm delighted to say our boot-room guest is none other than goalkeeper Craig Samson. I would rhyme off the clubs that you are at, but right now I think you want to add another one to it, Craig, because quite simply this week you find yourself in that unusual position. You're looking for a club.
Yeah, this week is it's a wee bit strange for me, and coming into a Saturday tomorrow and not having a game. Just left Kilmarnock there on Wednesday, so it's a wee bit strange, but hopefully it won't last very long. Yeah,
well, if it does stretch way beyond that, Peter and Craig's Football Show has a real good feel about it, by the way. I can see some insightful chat from you, but Roughie, I don't think there's any doubt about it. Craig, it might be unusual this weekend, but there are a lot of clubs out there that are looking, thinking, here's a guy who's not only had an average of about 32 games per season for the last 5 years, but he's been included in the Scotland squad.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. He's got all the experience in the world, and I think any football team now will tell you if you don't have a very good goalkeeper, you're not going to go anywhere. It's now the fact that everybody talks about strikers, but basically you need a good goalkeeper, and certainly Craig is that. As you said, he's touched the international football, he's had a taste of that and experience, and I'm sure it won't be long before somebody's on the phone.
Yep, we'll talk more with Craig about his predicament as well. But let's look to the main talking points in the news today. Celtic in the draw this morning, and suddenly the club we were talking about, Roughie, comes out of the hat, Malmo.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not the team that Celtic wanted. Of the 5 teams, I think they probably got the most European experience. Played in the group stages last year. Never did particularly well, but at least they were there. They've got that European experience, and they've beaten some of the teams that Celtic couldn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing about it, Roughy, once people look at a name, I think some of us are all guilty actually of jumping on the bandwagon saying, okay, the name, the prestige attached to it, but they're not doing well in the Swedish league, certainly not as well as they would like, and I think they might struggle to qualify for Europe next season. They've got a big game at the weekend. Celtic will also send somebody over to have a look at them. So, I think Celtic will get into this one as favourites.
Yeah, I think they will, and I think they should, with the experience that Celtic's got. OK, they've got some young players there, the Armstrong, Mackay-Steven, with not a lot of European experience. But when you, as you said, you look at the name Malmo, they're not up there with the greats of European football. So I think Celtic will go into that game thinking they've got a good chance.
Yeah, it just shows you, though, Craig, the whole of European football is dominated by the Champions League. I mean, we're talking minimum £14 million for Celtic that could get into the kitty just by making it to the group stages.
Yeah, as you said, I don't think that's the draw that Celtic were probably wanting for this last playoff game, but it's one that they'll be confident that they can go in and win with the players that they've got in their squad, and their manager certainly believes in the players, so I think that they'll certainly look to go through in the game. And as you say, it's a massive windfall for the club to get through. If it's a minimum of 14 million, it's something that Celtic need as a club, and so does Scottish football as a whole.
Yeah, it just shows you, though, Roughy, if you get to the group stages, suddenly you create this huge gap between the earning potential of the rest of the clubs that Craig's highlighted and what Celtic can put in the kitty as well.
Yeah, I think the earnings there for everybody to see, but as far as I'm concerned, I think it's all about the supporters. I think it's the supporters who have had a taste of that European football, and once they get into the group stages, we've saw the teams that Celtic have been drawn against, and if you're a supporter, that's what you pay your season ticket for, to see these teams, and I think that's the excitement of it. We keep talking about the Champions League music, hairs in the back of your neck, and I'm sure the supporters and the players will enjoy every minute of it.
Yep. Of course, if they should fall at this hurdle, then Celtic would drop into the Europa League. Manchester United, their draw this morning as well. Bruges, that will be a tough test for Louis van Gaal's side.
Yeah, it certainly will, but I think Louis van Gaal's now beginning to get a side. Obviously you were telling me the other night they're in for Pedro. So
well, I was just about to say he's getting a side together, Roughy, because £200 million helps you get a side.
but he's certainly buying some good players. You know, whether they all knit together, it's beginning to look. I think the Man United side beginning to look like a Barcelona side or a Real Madrid side. Obviously, all the nationalities that he's pulling in there. So it just depends whether they can knit as a team or play as individuals.
Yeah, I'll tell you the biggest disappointment for me, Craig, was Aberdeen, because we were all hoping that they could step up to the plate and get past Kairat Almaty. In the end, it didn't work out. And I hate to say it, we've got to be blunt about it. That's where we are in Scottish football. We just, you know, if you want to know where we are as far as the gap's concerned, why we're 32 in the world rankings, it's because we can't get enough clubs out with Celtic into the latter stages of European competition.
No, definitely. It was a bad one for Aberdeen to take last night. You know, I think when they get that away goal away from home in the game, I think everybody in Scotland was optimistic that they would go on with a big crowd behind them last night. As you say, where there was 18,000 fans there hoping that they were going to get through. But the way they lost the goal early on last night sort of took the stuffing out of them a little bit. And I see they're not very happy today with a bit of time wasting and stuff. But that's just unfortunate what these European teams do. It's sometimes not very good to play with, but they managed to get themselves over the line, and it's disappointing for Aberdeen and, as you say, for Scottish football, because you want all the teams in the European football for as long as they can.
Yeah, 3 teams out, Roughie. It's just not good enough.
Yeah, and it's becoming more noticeable now that the financial state of our game is where we're suffering. You know, because we're not spending a lot of money, and by all accounts, the team Celtic played, the team Aberdeen played, were spending 30 and 40 million pounds. You know, so these teams have got so much finance behind them that they're actually closing that gap.
Yep, absolutely. Disappointed Aberdeen are out. They'll need to focus on the Premiership over the course of the weekend. We'll be talking about the Premiership games coming up over the weekend in the next part of the programme. Championship kicks off, first game of the season. I'm hoping to nick out there to Ibrox as soon as this programme finishes, Roughie, to see Rangers in action against St Mirren. Of course, there's been a few changes in there, and of course the most important thing I think for Rangers fans, Craig, is they want to see how Rangers are going to play in this championship. Yeah,
I think the fans this year are looking for certainly a lot more attractive football for Rangers. The manager's going to bring his own stamp to the team, and he certainly brought a lot of players in, which he obviously felt he had to do. But I think when you look at the squad at Rangers this year, they're all pretty young. They've got Kenny Miller's obviously a seasoned pro in there that's come up and scored a couple of big goals for them recently, but they've got a lot of young boys, and I think the manager's going to have a bit of attractive football with them this year and tell the boys to go and play and express themselves.
Yeah, how do we look at St Mirren? I have to say, despite that 5-0 hammering from Sheffield Wednesday, Ian Murray, he'll be given the time just to try and see the style he wants his team to play in. Roughie, I think Scott Agnew will be a great signing for them. They get a 3-1 win in the League Cup. Now it's going to be a real test of Craig's old side to see what style of football they'll play under Ian Murray and what they will adopt as a tactic tonight against Rangers.
Yeah, I think the beginning of the season is the time when you've always got a chance against Rangers and Celtic. You know, obviously they're trying to find their way, new players coming in. So I think tonight he'll think he's got a good chance of taking something out of that game. As far as Rangers are concerned, you know, I was interested to read this morning Walter Smith was saying it was nothing to do with fitness.
Yeah.
It was all to do with not being able to wear a Rangers jersey when the pressure's on.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only thing that the new players have got to put aside. You know, can they handle the pressure?
I think you maybe oversimplified it, Roughie. Let's be blunt about it. I mean, listen, if we want to disregard fitness, I think a lot of Rangers fans are not fooled by the style of football they were watching last season. They want to see better football. I'm really looking forward to seeing Mark Warburton's side tonight. Are we doing other clubs a disservice, Craig, talking about it as Rangers and Hibs, because you've got the likes of Falkirk in there again, Queen of the South and St Mirren?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it's going to be an easy league just to say that Rangers and Hibs are going to run away with it. I think that St Mirren have certainly signed a lot of players, but they've got younger boys, as you said. Scott Agnew's a good signing for them. Falkirk was Scottish Cup finalists last year, and Queen of the South were also in the playoffs and ran Rangers very close. You know, James Fowler's he's lost a lot of players, but I think he's managed to recruit well this year, and they'll push again, so it certainly won't just be a 2-horse race.
Yeah, if you were picking an outsider that maybe, like Queen of the South last year, Roughie, might come in and cause a few problems, who would it be?
Wraith Rovers.
Wraith Rovers?
Yeah.
Well, you said that with conviction.
Yeah,
Why did you say that?
I think Wraith Rovers have bought well. You know, they brought in a lot of experienced players. They had a lot of experience. They touched a wee bit of success last year, obviously with Rangers at Ibrox, and they had some good results. I just feel this year could be the year that they could just force their way into that top 4.
Yeah. Briefly, Craig, a club that sticks in your mind?
I think St Mirren will be up there with it. I think that Ian Murray's got a group together that he's confident in. I think that they'll be there with Rangers and Hibs as well. It's maybe not a surprise I'm saying that because they're my old club, but I do think that they'll be up there.
Oh, don't worry about being biased towards your old clubs. Roughie tips every club he ever played for to win on a Saturday afternoon, by the way.
I'd be here for a while.
If Partick Thistle were playing the Real Madrid side from 1960, it would be a 3-1 win for Thistle. That's how consistent the big man is. Delighted that Craig Samson is with us here in the programme. We're going to talk about his predicament, his hopes and what he wants to get up to in the forthcoming season. If there's a manager out there looking for a quality goalkeeper, we have one here. He's waiting on your call. We'll have more after this break. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Football Show. We're looking ahead to the weekend's football, and let's not forget that we have our Saturday programme, 2 o'clock. Join us, STV Edinburgh, STV Glasgow. We'll be here in the studio with our pundits. Frank McAvenny joining us in the studio. Alan Ruff and Gordon Smith will be with me from 2 o'clock, and we will have reporters out at the key games. We are covering all of the football world, and we will focus on Scottish football, but we'll look at the Barclays Premier League starting tomorrow as well, and we'll keep you right up to date with reports across the Scottish Premiership and the Championship too. Don't miss it, 2 o'clock. Our guest in the boot room tonight, I'm delighted to say, is the goalkeeper Craig Samson. He's just left Kilmarnock. He's looking for a club. How difficult was it for you to part company? I mean, Jamie McDonald's signing clearly was an intent from Gary Locke that he wanted to make him the number one.
Yeah, I think that when I seen that the manager had went out to actively get Jamie in, he'd had him at Hearts before and somebody that he knows really well, so I just felt that there probably wasn't going to be much opportunity for me to play at Kilmarnock with Jamie being there, and obviously the relationship that he's got with the manager. So me and Gary Locke had a discussion, and we probably felt it was best for the both of us just to part ways and go our separate ways. So good luck to them, and Jamie's a very good goalkeeper, and that's the life of a manager. You make your decisions, and that's what Gary's done.
Yeah, I think, Roughie, to be fair, Craig's 31 years of age. Keeper's good 8 or 9 years in him if he keeps himself fit. I mean, you played to what, 38, 39?
39. But I can see where Craig's coming from. At that stage of your career, you want to be playing games. And when you've been playing first team football for so many years, to drop into the reserves or under 20s or whatever it is, with no atmosphere, it's a hard one to get your head round. I just noticed it briefly when I was at Celtic and I got 8 or 9 games, and you get the buzz of playing in front of 50,000 people. And then Packy Boner came back again. I dropped into the reserves, playing in front of nobody. Yeah. And you just have to make a decision.
Yeah.
When you get that buzz, you want to keep it going as long as
it's
possible.
It's difficult when you've played as many games as you say, and then, as I said before, the manager makes decisions, and that's his job, and I fully appreciate that and understand it. But for me, I just didn't think there would be minutes on the pitch for me this year, and I just felt that at this stage of my career that I can kick on and keep pushing forward rather than taking a year sitting on the bench for Kilmarnock. So I thought it was best to move on and see what other options I could have.
Yeah, obviously from your own point of view, Craig, you'll look at the standard of a club that might come in for you in Scotland. Are you prepared to up sticks and move down south if that is the case?
Yeah, I would. If there was opportunities down south, then it's something that I would certainly consider. I went down there before and it didn't really work out. I went to Hereford when they were in League One, but things didn't work out really, and I maybe feel as if I've got a bit of unfinished business down there, so I would certainly consider it depending on the club that come in.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will look at it, managers will certainly look at you and say, well, wait a minute, this is a guy who was involved in the Scotland squad. That must have been a huge bonus for you. Do you feel as if not only that involvement, but the way you were playing at the time, you've become a far improved goalkeeper? I
think as a goalkeeper, you improve by games, and I was fortunate enough that I played maybe in the first division for a while where I was making mistakes that maybe weren't as noticed as much when you were moving on to the Premier League. So certainly playing games and getting experience as a goalkeeper is what makes you better, and being involved with the Scotland thing in the summer, the Ireland game was great. I think that the squad's got a great chance of going and progressing and going through into the Championship, so it was brilliant to be involved in that, and I didn't want to hinder my chances of that by sitting on the bench with Kilmarnock for the year.
Yeah, that's another good point as well, Roughie. You've got to be playing to get noticed.
Yeah, you certainly have, and it's the first time we've had a goalkeeper on the show, and I need to ask him, because every time we have an outfield player on, we keep talking about the AstroTurf. We keep talking about, do you like it or do you not like it? From a goalkeeping point of view, have you noticed any difference? in your own game playing on it compared to the grass?
Kilmarnock's one is a very good AstroTurf pitch. What I would say is it's certainly a lot better when it's wet than when it's dry. When it's dry, it tends to check the ball slightly. For the goalkeeper, if you're maybe coming off your line for a through ball, if it's dry, it'll check up and it can sometimes slow it down, whereas if it's wet, it skids through a lot better. That's the kind of main differences, I would have said, in the play of it. But I certainly wouldn't criticise it for playing with it in the Premier League. It's been great for Kilmarnock as a club. It's been great for the whole community there, and it is good to train on. But I certainly am one that would rather play in the grass.
So he's not fallen into the Higginbottom scenario of he'll never ever play in it again.
You had to mention that twice this week, haven't you? You really got it in for Higginbottom with that line. Every one of us has opened their gob at one point or another and mentioned something that comes back to bite you on the back end. Craig, I'm delighted that you've joined us, and hopefully you do get a club. Stick with us because we're going to look at some of the key games over the weekend now. Of course, we're on 2 o'clock tomorrow if you can join us. Premiership, Roughie, Dundee Hearts looks an absolute cracker to me. I mean, if Hearts were involved in a 7-goal thriller and Dundee hammered Kelly last week 4-0, this one's got the makings of a good one at Dens Park.
Yeah, Dundee were really impressed last week. There's no doubt about that. As were Hearts, and I think there'll be a big crowd there, which will be really good. The good atmosphere up there. Let's hope there's plenty of goals for us to comment on.
Yep, I've got a feeling I've tipped Hearts top 3. I definitely think easily we can look at what Dundee are doing and think they're a top 6 side.
I thought Dundee were brilliant at the weekend there against our team at Kilmarnock. Paul Hartley got them playing the exact way that they want them. He signed the boy Nick Ross for Inverness, who's done a great job for them, and the boy Greg Stewart is excellent. He seems to have got stronger over the summer and come back even better than what he was the year before. So I think Dundee will be a very good team in the Premiership this year.
And Motherwell, Dundee United, I mean, the worry for Motherwell, Stephen Pearson's going for a scan, Roughie. They're looking for a midfielder. Ian Barraclough was speaking earlier today, didn't want to be talking about the SPFL charge towards the club, just wanted to focus on the football, and they've got Dundee United to come off the back of that defeat to Aberdeen.
Yeah, but they want to build on that, Peter, in light of what they had last year. It was an unbelievable run of bad results, and to get a win when nobody expected it, you'll expect to the players to get another one, to just keep all the fans on board and keep the momentum going. I
love the way managers straight after a defeat can somehow put a little shaft of light on it, and Aberdeen boss Derek McInnes sure did that last night, talking about how it could benefit the Dons in the league and in the cups this season by going out of European football. I'm not quite sure that's really what everybody wanted to hear.
No, and I don't think. I think, in all honesty, I think he'd have wanted to be still in the Europa. There's no doubt about that. As far as the fans would have wanted to be in it as well, the travelling that involves. But again, he's telling the truth from the league point of view. The least games they have to play, the nearer they can maybe keep to Celtic. Yep.
Euro side Partick are involved against Celtic. I've held my hands up. Once we get Alan Archibald in here, I will say I'm sorry, but I've tipped you for the drop.
Well, I think the chance that the Partick Thistle have got, depending on how the players react for the midweek game, there's no doubt about that. He might rest a few, depends the players that he rests. It might give Partick Thistle a wee chance at the weekend, but I think we'll have to wait until we see the team selection.
Yep, OK. Craig, Morton, Falkirk in the Championship tomorrow. I think it's always difficult when you've got a team that come up to any division to try and first of all get the stability to stay in it and then to try and make an impression. But we're big fans of Jim Duffy, and he comes up against a man, as you mentioned earlier, and Peter Houston, with a really good young side. Yeah,
I think Jim will be looking to try and get a win on the board as soon as he can for Morton in the league and get their season started. It's a hard game for them with Falkirk. They'd done fantastic last year to get the Scottish Cup final and just missed out in that playoff place in the Championship. So I know that Peter will be looking to get the 3 points here as well, so it'll be a great game.
Yeah, really looking forward to that one, Roughie. I think that, apart from obviously Rangers against St Mirren, I think that one's the pick of the Championship games.
Yeah, I think Falkirk were impressive last year, and I think if we all look back at that Inverness final now, there was a wee chance there that they could have possibly won that. Obviously Inverness got the wee break, but I think they'll build on that, and again he's brought in experienced players as well, and I'm sure the younger players will get the benefit and the experience for that cup run.
And of course tomorrow on the programme we'll be heralding the start of the Barclays Premier League as well. Roughie will be covering that on the programme. Chelsea open up against Swansea in the early evening kick-off. It's the champions. We've all tipped Chelsea. Smudger's gone for them. You've gone for them. I've gone for them.
Well, I'm beginning to change my mind now.
What?
They're on a bad run. They've not won a game for about 4 games. Why are we all tipping them?
Exactly. Craig, who's your tip?
I think Chelsea will win it as well, but I think Arsenal will be up there. I think Arsene Wenger's got some quality in his squad this year, and I think that they'll be up there.
Yeah, I'm going to utter 3 names to you, and we'll keep a close eye on them. Brendan Rodgers, Pellegrini at Man City, and of course Arsene Wenger. You know what it's like. You only get 11 months sometimes as a manager. I wonder if just making the Champions League places in the top 4 will be enough for those 3 managers. So much to discuss. Do join us if you can on Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. Frank McAvenny will be in here in the studio alongside Gordon Smith and Alan Ruff, and Macca will be giving us his chat on his old club West Ham, among others, in the start of the Barclays Premier League. Thanks to Craig Samson for joining us in the studio. I do hope the next time we're talking to him he's wearing a strip and he's been in action over the 90 minutes. If it's not for a club up here, hopefully down south. From Roughie and myself, join us at 2 o'clock tomorrow if you can on Peter and Roughie's Saturday Football Show. Thanks for watching. Good night.